is going on YouTube, and welcome back to my channel, JoJo Speaks. Thank y'all so much for joining me for this being my review for Married to Medicine. This is season 12, episode 4. This episode was extremely Toya heavy, so we'll get to it with this review. Now, I won't be talking about the entire episodes in its full entirety. I'll just be talking about the things that stuck out to me. So we start off where we left off in the last episode. We're at Brandy's birthday celebration dinner. And Simone has just revealed to the ladies that she's considering getting a divorce from Cecil. Quad and Jackie tell her, don't bring that up. Don't talk about that, in front of the cameras and in front of the ladies. Like, you don't want to do that, girl. And, Dr. Heavenly then pipes up and says, Simone doesn't look happy. And so after the dinner is over, Simone and Dr. Heavenly talk about their issues, Well, mainly is Dr. Heavenly telling Simone that, her son, after she fussed him out, after, finding out that he got arrested a couple years back, he left the house and he hasn't been back since. And, I truly do feel a little bit for Dr. Heavenly. However, I think this should be a clear indication of the fact that her mouth is reckless. Her mouth is too reckless, even with those that she loves. It's one thing to be reckless with, your co-stars on the show, on the reality TV show that you're a part of, but for you to lash out at your son in a way that causes him to want to leave your presence for a good amount of time. And once again, I understand why Dr. Heavenly might have reacted the way she did, because, she was telling people, my son didn't get arrested. That's a lie. And then when it actually came out, the receipts came out that he actually was arrested. She had to, backpedal a little bit on that. And, she probably felt like she was made a fool of, and the fact that Dr. Damon knew about the arrest and did not tell Dr. Heavenly, and they were able to keep it under wraps for quite a while. I understand why Dr. Heavenly feels blindsided by this information. And so, I get why Dr. Heavenly is feeling the way she's feeling. However, I feel as though this should be a reality check for Dr. Heavenly to understand that she needs to check her mouth at the door. She has to be more cognizant of the words coming out of her mouth. Especially towards the people that she loves. It's one thing to be that way towards your co-stars for a reality TV show's sake, but for your family to receive that same vitriol, I don't think that's fair for them at all. I understand, getting arrested is never a good thing. And I'm sure Dr. Damon didn't have the best reaction either, but I think Dr. Damon knows better how to handle those types of situations, whereas Dr. Heavenly just flies off the handle. But anyways, we move on to Toya and Eugene taking a walk in the park and talking about Eugene's current working situation. He's working out of town, about 5 or 6 days a week. Excuse me. And Toya's not happy about that. Toya's not happy that Eugene's not at home. But Eugene says, well, if I was working here in Atlanta, I'd be working, more hours with less pay, and I'm still not going to be at home as much as you want me to. So, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I love the fact that he told Toya that. And Toya is interesting because I have enjoyed her growth throughout the seasons. I don't think Toya is the same woman that she was in season 1. However, there are still those things that irk me about Toya. I feel as though Toya does not appreciate her husband. I feel as though she does not act as though she appreciates her husband. Of course, she's appreciating appreciating the results of his working. Of course, she's living in multiple beautiful houses. They've been able to move as at their will. And she's living this lavish lifestyle. She's wearing designer clothes, things of that nature. That gaudy t-shirt that she wore at Brandy's party, I think it was Gucci or Chanel, whatever it was. I did not like it whatsoever, but she's able to enjoy the fruits of Eugene's labor. However, she still has an issue. And I don't know if this is necessarily an issue that she's having personally, or is this just an issue for storyline's sake? I'm not sure, because she seems to be pretty, okay with the way that she's living now. But once again, Toya is trying to have her cake and eat it too. And that's not fair to Eugene, because Eugene, of course, a lot of people are trying to say that Toya doesn't work. she's on a reality TV show. She is working, about, 5 to 6 months out of the year. She is working and she is getting a paycheck. So to say that Toya is not working is completely unfair to Toya. But I guess working outside of the show, I guess that would be true, that Toya is not working outside of the show. So it is what it is as far as that's concerned. But anyways, we then get a scene of Quad and King visiting Dr. Jackie. Dr. Jackie is Quad's, I guess, her OBGYN as she's on her, childbearing journey and things of that nature. She's later on in the season going to go over to Africa to, have, some fertility type treatments and things of that nature. I thought it was funny when Dr. Jackie said she was going to give King a prostate exam and King said, exit only. I thought that was a little bit cute. And Quad seems to have an issue with other people giving her shots. I get that. Quad wants to do it on her own. It is the case. But she allowed King to give her fertility shot, I'm assuming it was. So it is what it is. We then get a scene with Dr. Mimi and her husband. They're driving their 2 children. I'm not exactly sure where they're going, but her son, who was autistic, he ends up hitting his sister. And his sister starts crying immediately. And, Dr. Mimi and her husband go right into parent mommy daddy mode. And I thought it was so great for them to switch seats. Dr. Mimi and her husband were sitting in the front seats. The kids were sitting in the back seats. Dr. Mimi's husband got out of the car, took their daughter out of the back seat and put her in the front seat. Dr. Mimi got into the back seat to sit next to her son, and she was letting her son know, you can't hit on your sister, and you can't do this or do that. And so I thought it was so great to see the parenting dynamic between Dr. Mimi and her husband. It's so sweet to see, and with them telling in the confessionals how it's completely different raising a son that is on the spectrum. And it's so great to see that realism on this reality TV show. It is great to see. It's awesome to see. So let's get to this Toya party, this house party that she's having. I love the decorations that she put in the backyard. It looks awesome. It looks amazing. She's got, Louis Vuitton this and, Chanel that everywhere. It's a real Toya party, what you would expect. I love Toya's front door too. The way that it opens, it looks real new age. It looks awesome. I love it. But all the girls show up, and of course Toya's got some scantily clad waitresses and waiters serving up the food and things of that nature. The male waiter was extremely handsome, honey. Oh my gosh, he was so fine. And the ladies have some some nice eye candy. Dr. Heavenly doesn't appreciate being served hors d'oeuvres by someone whom she can see their private parts. The private parts didn't seem to be showing, but I guess, they didn't show that on purpose. But anyways, so Toya comes outside. The guys are, all the husbands are all outside, and, they're having a good chit chat, and Toya wants to play games. She's grabbing these hula hoops, and, she wants to get the men involved, and she's trying to get the men to stand up, and none of the men are standing up. I think one of them did, if I'm not mistaken. And then Toya says to Eugene, be the head of this household and encourage your friends to get up. And, Dr. Eugene was like, I'm writing out doctor's notes for all of my friends right now. I don't have time for this. And, Toya's like, give me eye contact, give me attention, give me husband treatment. And Toya is just going too far with Eugene in front of everyone and literally embarrassing herself, because Eugene doesn't seem to be embarrassed whatsoever by Toya's actions. He's like, oh, this is just a Tuesday. Toya be all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, he does not give in to Toya. And that's what I love about Eugene, because Eugene knows Toya. And also, I do feel as though Toya might have had a little bit of liquor in her system. So, she was a little bit amped up, you know what I'm saying? So I get and understand that. I really do. But, Eugene's not paying any attention to Toya. And Toya goes off on Eugene in front of everyone. And Dr. Heavenly and Mimi are saying, Toya, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And Toya is really affected by what Dr. Heavenly and Mimi have to say. But in my opinion, if I were Toya's friend, I probably would be saying the same exact thing that Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Mimi were saying to her. Like, girl, that is not the way that you treat your husband. You would never hear Dr. Heavenly talking like that to Dr. Damon, ever. But, there are different relationship dynamics, with different relationships. So, it is what it is. But Toya goes off crying and she's talking to Dr. Contessa and it looks like Ayana or Ayan from a couple of seasons ago. And, she's really upset with Eugene for not acquiescing to Toya's demands. And she's also upset with Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Mimi for saying what they said. But I feel as though Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Mimi were in the right position to say what they said. I thought that they were right in what they said. Because you don't want to embarrass your husband, especially not on national TV and especially not in front of a whole group of your friends. You don't want to do that whatsoever. And so Toya then comes back out and makes a full speech saying that people are not supporting her, people are not writing for her, people are not here for her, she's not drunk. Which, when people say that they're not drunk, a lot of times that's a clear indication that they are indeed drunk, or at least a little bit tipsy. I know Toya had a cup in her hand the entire time while she was making this entire speech. So it is what it is. Dr. Heavenly says, I've been supporting you all this time, girl. And Toya says, you ain't been supporting me. And so Toya said that she wanted Dr. Heavenly and Mimi to leave, but in that entire speech, I didn't hear her saying that Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Mimi specifically needed to leave, but Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Mimi do end up leaving eventually. And King comes out and says, hey, you guys, why don't you guys come back? You know what I'm saying? You guys don't want to leave. And I love what Dr. Daddy ended up saying, out of respect for Toya at this moment, it doesn't seem like she's feeling my wife or Dr. Mimi at this moment. So we're going to go ahead and exit the situation. And, all of the other girls who are still there, Dr. Contessa, Quad, Dr. Simone, Dr. Jackie, they're all, consoling Toya. And I wish that those women would have corrected Toya or let Toya know that was not the right way to address your husband in that moment. I wish they would have said that. I'm trying to understand why they didn't say that because I know that they were all feeling the same way. And all of their confessionals, Dr. Simone and Dr. Jackie in particular, said that Toya embarrassed herself. And she truly did embarrass herself in that moment. Because no one wants to be talked to like that at all. It was so condescending, so controlling of Toya to say those things to Eugene. Once again, I love the fact that Eugene is not paying Toya any attention. I love that. I love that. I love it. But yeah, Toya really did make herself look extremely bad in that moment. And, I understand why a lot of people don't like Toya because Toya's just never been that girl. But anyways, tell me in the comments, you guys, what you guys thought about this 4th episode of the 12th season of Married to Medicine in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Also, be sure to leave this video a thumbs up. Let me know you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out on my channel. Be sure to press the notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And last but not least, be sure to share JoJo Speaks with all your family, friends, and loved ones. Let everybody know JoJo Speaks is out here in these YouTube streets. Be sure to join me every Thursday night at 8 p.m. for my Hot Topics and Social Commentary show with Prophetic Fire Reiki, as well as our friend Bianca Edwards. We always have a great time talking about the latest happenings and goings on in the world. I will not be going live on Christmas Day, December 25th, 2025. I will be taking that day off of YouTube. However, join me every other Thursday at 8 p.m. for my Hot Topics and Social Commentary show. Also, be sure to join me every Monday night at 6 p.m. for my 90 Day Fiance review with Dustin Butler. I go live every Monday at 6 p.m. Right now, we are watching 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days, Season 8, if I'm not mistaken. We just filmed Episode 3 yesterday, so check that out. Love you guys for watching. See you on the next one. Peace out, y'all.